If you could go back...
Does that have anything to do with...
And what if that was your last chance?
Seeing how things turned out, would you now change...
Was that your decision?
I can't imagine what that would feel like.
We want to know.
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 People say that within every person there is a whole galaxy.
We want to know.
Are people right?
From the creators of American in Yerevan, Ina M.K.
And Stephen Oxner.
Homesick.
At home.
Have you ever felt that way?
Shot City.
I'm coming home again.
Welcome to our Friday evening here with Ina M.K.
And Stephen Oxner and our guest
Benoit.
Nice to meet you. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think we have to tell the story how Benoit found us because it's awesome.
That is an interesting story because we received a message. This was actually the first time anyone messaged us directly to the page or the group, our Facebook group. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, we can get messages? That was my first thought. And then I looked and I was like, oh my gosh. And you said you were coming to town and you were interested in talking about some different things, which we will talk about later in this program.
Cool.
And I thought, wow, that's so cool that someone found us somehow. And because we're always looking for people exactly like you, living abroad, having this experience of being so far away from home, and then making new homes along the way.
Cool. And
then, we just started having this conversation through Messenger on Facebook, and here you are.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
I don't know if anyone notices how my voice is a little bit different tonight. We just went through... I went through 3 bars, and did you have 2 or 3?
Yeah, I did.
So
I
Ina
had
2 bars. And these are not Kit Kat bars. They're not bars where we had shots of whiskey, but they were access bars.
That's right.
That Benoit shared with us just before the program, and I think I'll have to wait a little bit to understand how to explain how I feel at this moment. But it was several minutes of Benoit coming into contact with his fingertips to different parts of our scalps, our heads, and we just talked it out and had an awesome chat, and things changed in my body.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I feel energized. Yeah, I do, really.
Maybe that's a place where we can just start. Can you tell us, like, let's say we know nothing about access bars.
Cool.
And you would like to explain it to us, maybe.
Yeah. So access bars is really, it's a technique where, the practitioner touches 32 points on your head over a period of 1 hour. So maybe 1 point or 2 or 3 points. And they have to do with different areas of your life. For example, money, control, creativity, emotions. And basically, we accumulate in our lives a lot of points of views and limitations, like I'm like this, I'm like that, I'm wrong, I'm stupid, and that creates energy blocks. And when we do the bars and we touch the points really gently, it releases a lot of these energy blocks and limitations, and it does it really, really naturally, really easily. And so the person who receives quite often, they feel like tingling sensation or energy kind of flowing, or sometimes they get like flashes of memories and things like that.
Can you do it? Can somebody do it to himself?
Yes, you can. So there's certain points that are hard to touch that you cannot. It would be like having to be a contortionist. And then some of them you can touch. However, there's really a lot of beauty in actually receiving it from someone and being able to just kind of let go completely and having that exchange, having the person do it to you. So that's also really awesome when you receive it. Yeah.
I agree. On the experience that I have already,
Tell us about your experience, Ina.
First I kind of felt like my ears are kind of blocked. I couldn't hear things that were going on around. Well, I could, but I kind of couldn't.
Muffled a bit, yeah.
Uh-huh. And then my ears got warm.
Yeah.
And then it was like a little tickling in my brain.
You got a brain tickle.
Yeah. Well, in a pleasant way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at some point I wanted to just go asleep and just I wish we didn't have any show tonight. And then Stephen then comes
Oh, yeah, and then
the
we have to listen
final
to the end,
the
yeah.
final stage was that I got really energized and yeah, so
Yeah, so this is just your body basically releasing, because this junk that we accumulate, all of these points of views that we get from society about being a certain way, for me it's so important I got, to be responsible. And so I've really pushed myself hard in my life. And now, you know what? This is not who I am. I definitely am more creative and fun, and I want to have a lot of that more in my life. So in short, when you kind of get up our sessions, it's all of these things, these points of view, they're not you. They're not you. Your body is just so happy to release them. And then you get a sense of really like this energy that starts to flow just a bit more in your body. Yeah, so it's not like I do anything to you. I just touch, I connect, and your body automatically releases what it does not need, which is pretty awesome. I don't force, I don't push anything on people. I don't make them do anything they don't want to. I don't delete things you don't want. Like,
Yeah.
If you want your limitations and point of view, you can take them back.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But really, for me, it comes from the point that most of us, we look at life thinking that if I get it right, if I get the right job, the right girlfriend, if I look good, if I have a thin body, if I have enough money, if I do all of these things, and the more I have, the happier I will be. And the more I make sure I don't have the bad stuff, like being angry and sad and broke and alone and single, the more I avoid that, then of course I'm going to be happy. But it doesn't work like that, does it? And
Yeah, the more you gain, the more you understand that it wasn't about that at all.
And what happens for me when I was in my 40s, it just getting all of the good stuff, I kept not being able to maintain it. And then I would fail, and then I would think I was wrong. What's wrong with me? And, and then I would feel bad. And if I, get the bad stuff, and I've been single for so long now, then what's wrong with me? Why am I still single? And either way, you feel wrong. But this is all really like judgments and points of views about me. And now just kind of letting go of some of that, it's just kind of making it a lot easier to look at life and say, okay, what do I want?
Well, that's exactly about what, speaking about being single. Well, I'm a single mom.
I'm a single dad.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, but we need to go for
We're going to
a
go
break.
to a quick break, hear from our
Steven's giving me a
sponsors
hint,
and our
yeah.
advertisements here on Radio Vaughan. But don't go away. We're here in the studio learning about access bars and the life of Benoit. Why he's in Armenia, because he doesn't live here.
Yeah. And I'm going to save my question for that.
Oh yeah, and Ina has a question for you, but she's gonna hold out a little bit for
This is Homesick at Home show.
with Ina MK.
And it's Steven Oxner.
At home. That is right. You're still listening to Homesick at Home here with Ina MK, Steven Oxner, and Benoit. Can you remind me how to say your last name?
Benoit.
Benoit.
It's French
Benoit,
Canadian,
right,
so I'm
right.
originally from Quebec.
Yeah.
Your last
French-speaking
name.
Canada. Trudel.
Trudel.
So also
Yeah,
very
good.
French-speaking.
Benoit
French-sounding.
Trudel.
Yeah.
That's really
It sounds so
musical.
sexy.
And
And I'm
musical.
single.
So now Ina can ask her question.
Yeah, so speaking about being a single mom and dad, I have been asked this question really often, like, isn't that so hard to be a single mom? Or, if people kind of want to show their sympathy somehow, and it's really, sometimes it's really annoying because I don't really feel that something is wrong, and then I start to, no, it's okay. And then somehow I start to tell them that everything is okay. I'm fine, So what about you? Maybe you're probably used to these kind of questions, or maybe... is it hard for you to be a single dad? And
It's a challenge, but it's one I chose. So I adopted my two boys when I
Yeah.
was in Vietnam as a single father, which is
they're
pretty...
9 and 13,
9
right?
and 13.
Yeah.
And it's not easy because in a way my children, they show the sides of me that sometimes don't work. So they press my buttons, right? And I always have a choice of how I react to them. Either I get angry, or I set a lot of strong limitation, or I say, okay, I know that there's something different. And it's not easy because they're really, really good at fighting, at asking and demanding and demanding. And as a single father now, I just know I want to create a different life for us. I want to have more ease. And so all of the time when I get angry or when I tell them what to do and things, I always kind of take a step back and think, okay, how else can I be here as a parent? Because this is probably the parent that I think I should be, which I am. And I know that there's a different me, which is, again, it goes back to what I was saying, being very responsible. Somehow I got that would make my life meaningful. And this is something that I'm changing now. It doesn't mean I'm going to become necessarily completely irresponsible, but I want to have more fun. I want to be easier. You know, I want to be able to say, okay, yeah, we screwed up. Okay, so what do we do now? So I think as a parent, there's a lot of challenges because it's coming at us all the time. And when we're not, you know, how can I be, a better parent without feeling guilty and enjoying how I am as a parent, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Can you tell us about your sons a little bit?
Yeah. What would you like to know?
Maybe like their favorite colors.
Well, the two of them are completely different,
Yeah.
you know. So my
cool.
older son is definitely like completely messy, you know. He's very, very passionate. He gets angry, you know, quite a bit. He loves everything is with Minecraft, right? He's always on the computer. He wants to be an expert Minecraft and BMX and all of that. And my younger son is more like the sweet one and the quieter one, you know, who kind of follows also with the Minecraft and the BMX because he sees his big brother doing it. Yeah, and they're pretty good at doing access, you know. So they do also the
You were
bars.
telling us that
Yeah.
they even make some of their money doing
Yeah.
these
This is
access
how
bars.
you know if they want, they can either take out the garbage, which is fine. I don't mind. I'll give them money for taking out the garbage, or they can do bar session. Which one do you want?
Which one do you want?
That's a nice way to earn
Wow,
money.
that's nice. Taking out the trash or
So sometimes they ask me, Dad, can you do a bar session for me? Because there's so much pressure at school, and you know they come home. Sometimes they're so upset because of what happens with other kids, or the teachers yell at them, and they come out. And it's not about talking. I can talk to them a bit. Yeah, sure. And then sometimes it's just about giving them that space where they're just able to just kind of let go of all of that stuff. They don't need to analyze it and understand it. Just let it go because it's not about you. It's just like it's about other people, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
so interesting. Can you go through maybe some of the points, some of the 32 points you mentioned? You were touching
The
like a little
implant
bit
band.
up.
And that one is money, control, creativity is here. Yeah.
This one was just like a little bit up
Yeah.
and back
So what were
from
the
my
spots
temples.
that we went through?
So we went through the implant band, which is behind the ear.
Mm-hmm.
And that I mentioned has to do with, we say implanted point of view, and that sounds like Sylvester Stallone, you know, recall movie. But
Or aliens.
Aliens, right? I was implanted. Are
What
you
happened?
implanted?
I didn't know about that.
You know? But really implanted it in a loose way is basically all the points of views that we pick up from society and from the environment. Everything about, from, what a man is, what a woman is like.
The recycling.
All the points of views, right? About money, about work. There's a lot of that. And so when we touch that band, then it just, clears some of those limitations. And then we have money, control, creativity. And money is a big one for a lot of people because we have a lot of points of views about money, and most of them we don't realize it. How many people believe that you have to work 9 to 5? Money is hard, money is limited, there's never enough money. So I'm not saying that this is not true. There's a lot of reality that's about that. But what if it could be also different? What if you could say, okay, yes, what else can I create? How could I create money? Maybe I can start to make Christmas cards and sell them. Maybe I could start to sing on the weekend. Or a friend of mine, she's working on a magazine, and I'm good with Photoshop, like whatever it is, but also when you look at those points of views of it, and you start to just clear them, and then naturally how you perceive money also changes, you know?
And this is not through analyzation.
No analysis required.
Analysis.
Actually, it's recommended not to analyze.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so receiving is another thing that most people have a hard time. So if I say, oh, you look so great today, do you say, yeah, okay, thank you? If somebody wants to help you, do you say, oh, thank you for help? Like, we need to learn to receive from everybody and from everything. And then life, it just starts to grow.
I have a friend who says you have to love the sun so it doesn't burn you. So you need to accept it and say thank you.
Yeah.
So you don't feel bothered about hot, for instance, heat, or I don't know, sun or whatever.
That's right.
You just feel thankful for it, and it stops bothering you. That's his philosophy.
Gratitude is the starting point for things to grow in your life. It's like planting a seed. So even if you have a difficult relationship or a difficult job, go to a place of having some gratitude. And you don't need a gratitude because of this, or just look at feeling gratitude. And this takes you to a place where you start to have more ownership and can start to see what you can change. Because otherwise we're always looking at what's wrong outside of us, and then we're not in a position to change it, So.
Well, I am very thankful that you came into the studio today and that you wrote us
really.
2 weeks ago, or whenever it was. I think it was about 2 weeks,
2 weeks
ago.
ago. Thanks, Stephen.
So, and with that, we will go for another short break and come back. Don't go away. We're here for another 42 minutes with Benoit Trudel at Radio Vaughan on a program called Homesick at Home with Ian MK.
And Stephen Oxner. Stay tuned.
Having a really good time here in the studio with Benoit Trudel.
Yeah, I wish we had a 2-hour show.
I know it. Maybe Shushanik is listening right now. Maybe we can have a 2-hour little...
at least 1 hour and a
You
half.
guys are mumbling. Are we allowed to mumble on the radio?
I
Kind
think
of.
in very specific circumstances.
Cool.
And this is the right time for the circumstances.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you want to ask for the things that you're not quite sure you deserve.
Mm.
I bet you have something to say about that.
Yeah, and what if there is no such thing as deserving? It's about choice, A lot of us feel like life happens to us. And it's true. There's lots of things that happen in life, but you always have a choice of what do you want to do about it. And sometimes that step and that choice is a really small one. It's getting out of bed. It's going to a coffee. It doesn't have to be changing the world. But really, always ask yourself, what can I choose here? What works for me? What's true for me? And they sound like really simple questions, and they are. But this is the start of you starting to think that I can do something in my life. And that really is empowering. And it happens really subtly because most of us tend to think that, oh my God, all of this is happening to me. And we go into the drama because then we have this kind of self-comfort. But
And I'm
self-comfort
sure
keeps you there.
For some people, it would be just, oh, these are just words, and how can you really practice this?
Yeah.
Do you have some tips?
Oh, yeah, I think he does.
Yeah. And at the same time, your thoughts and your words, they create your reality. And so the more that you start to use these things, the more that you start to see that your life changes. And so one of the things in Access they talk about is that if you think, you decide everything in your life, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Well, then you've already decided what your life is about. And what else is possible? So what if you could start to look at your life as possibilities and questions? Of course, you still need to plan some things. I'm not saying don't, but at the same time, ask yourself, how much fun can I have today? And what would work? What would be fun for me today? And don't look for the answer. Just ask the question and just kind of let yourself kind of go with the flow a bit of life. And you start to see that things start to show up and surprise you. And if you think it's just words, my life was, I was a control freak. And I thought the more in control I am, the more I plan things, the more I have a chance of getting what I want, right?
I can't imagine you being a control freak now.
I still am. I still am. And this is where I'm also learning that when I do that, it doesn't work. Like for today, for instance, I wanted to plan everything I was going to say. And I know when I do that, then I go in my head. And I'm not really in the energy of what's happening. So the first thing I told myself before coming here, even though normally I would want to plan what I say here, don't. Just don't. Just show up and kind of, yeah. So
That's so interesting because in the course of the past year, Ina and I have been working with each other over a year now.
Yeah,
And something
that's
we
what I
found
thought.
very quickly was we could plan as much as we wanted.
Yeah.
But as soon as we came on the air,
It's always
we had to
different.
throw our plan away completely
yeah.
because it didn't have anything to do with what was going on anymore.
And
Yeah,
life,
because it
the whole life is like
depends on
that.
a
Yeah.
person who's there,
You
the
know?
conversation goes in totally different.
And that
way.
feels kind of more natural, more normal, more fun as well, right?
It does.
Than if I
Yeah.
was just reciting what I had planned.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you just like, yeah.
What other kind
Cool.
of questions might one ask of
Yeah,
themselves
I
without
mean-
answering?
A lot of that stuff you might think, oh, does this really work? What is he talking about? And all I say is try it. Try it. So the best question is what else is possible? When you feel like something is tough, what else is possible? Because really what you're saying is, yes, I acknowledge that this is difficult. And are there other ways that I could be, that I could act, that could also make it easier for me in my life? And that's a really powerful question. Another one is whether it's good or bad, you ask, how does it get any better than this? And again, this is part of it is acknowledging, part of it is a little bit of gratitude, and part of it is just saying, yeah, okay, maybe this is not working, or maybe this is working, and I know it could be even better than this. And if what I'm saying sounds just like words, really try it a little bit, because really your thoughts create your reality. And if you keep telling yourself that your life is bad, and you make yourself wrong for it, then what else can actually show up in your life? Like really, honestly.
Yeah, you become like a magnet of bad stuff.
Yeah, and you're also telling yourself that it's bad. And so it cannot really change very much. And I have a whole lifetime of telling myself I'm so fucked up, I'm so wrong, And then about a year ago, I started to use Access, and I was at this point where I literally wanted to die. I was so low. I felt really that there was no meaning in my life. And I was really crying to a friend. And I said, why am I even on this planet, And then I started to use the tools of Access. And some of these ones, I'm telling you, in 1 week, my life changed. This despair I was feeling, and I was in Armenia at the time, exactly 1 year ago. And I just kept using those questions. My friend who told me about Access says, just do it. And I said, yeah, but I feel like a crazy man asking these stupid questions. And I did it for a week. And a week later, I felt completely different. I was in rainy London. It was cold, it was rainy. And I was feeling so happy like I had never felt before. And I was like, what's going on here? This is like weird.
I feel happy.
I'm either
It's
crazy or
raining outside.
happy.
What is wrong with
So,
What is wrong?
amazing. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You said to us that you used to struggle with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and that you tried different means of, we could say, fixing or curing yourself.
Exactly.
What were those means, and how are they different from what you do now?
Exactly. Yeah, really good question. I mean, the first thing, I don't make anything wrong of anything that's out there. I mean, I tried Vipassana in a monastery in Thailand for a month of silent meditation. I was 17 years old and I started chanting a Japanese type of Buddhism. I was 16 years old and I went to the hospital and I said, give me a psychologist. I'm so unhappy. I need help. 16 years old going to a hospital by himself, right? I did a lot of personal growth courses. And all of that, it was good, I think, in some way, but it didn't change the anxiety that I felt all the time, like something's so wrong with me. Why am I so wrong? Why do I feel like, so much fear all the time in my life? And then after these things didn't really work for me, I stopped for 20 years. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to control it. I'm just going to put a happy face and pretend that it doesn't exist. And that's what I did for 20 years.
Where you were planning everything.
Yeah,
putting
planning,
everything in its
controlling
place.
everything,
Whoa.
hiding the anxiety, in every way that I could, pretending, until basically just 2 years ago, when a friend of mine told me about Access. And when she told me about Access, I said, I'm sorry, I don't do this shit anymore. I don't want to get my hopes up, I don't want that, it's enough.
But isn't somehow asking these questions also kind of a control that you're
No, that's the
interesting.
beauty of
you're
it.
controlling
Interesting
questions, right? You're controlling yourself to constantly ask all these questions.
And what is
isn't-
control? Control, it can be so many things. It can be trying to force or to push, or it can be knowing that there's a lot of possibilities and being open to that. So for me, control, it can actually be, it's almost like letting go of control. You ask for it and then you let go. So by asking for it, I'm not looking for an answer. I'm asking for it, and that's it. And it, and so one of the things I realized with Access, and this I'm not sure, if you're the listeners or, is that a lot of us are hypersensitive. So I'm hypersensitive. My mom, she was depressed when I was growing up, and she was in bed for 10 years, and I could feel it in the house. And my father was always angry, and I would come in the house and I would feel the energy of how my mom was doing. So if there's anybody depressed or with anxiety anywhere near me, I feel it. And I used to think that that was me that was feeling like that. So a big thing that happened last year when I was feeling really, really depressed in Armenia, and this one tool does sound a little bit crazy, but I swear it works, is that a lot of these emotions, and science now is starting to say 98% of the emotions that we feel, they're not ours. We pick them up. We're like big sponges. You may not believe that. And so the tool that I used the most a year ago, was when I was feeling this despair, is who does it belong to? Return to sender with consciousness. Who does it belong to? Return to sender with consciousness. I know it sounds like I'm crazy, and I felt like I was crazy, but that was the one thing that in 1 week, it was gone. The despair was completely gone.
Wow.
Like, really, do you know any other psychologist or anything else that can do that? So,
this one thing that is really, I really believe that, speaking of being a parent and stuff, I always felt that I'm really responsible for my son and for who he is. And it took me a while to get rid of this guilt.
yeah,
And that I have to work on myself so as to create a better future for my son, so he doesn't feel any of my bad energy, as you said, And I always believed that a child is kind of like a reflection of their parent. So where is that line? How to, kind of let go of this responsibility, not only responsibility, but the guilt that is mixed with the responsibility, and try to,
do we have time?
Yeah, we have a little bit
We
of
have
time.
a bit of time.
I
I get you.
Get
Do you know the
question?
biggest thing for freedom is to accept, like a radio show I love, is 10 Tips to be a Bad Parent.
Oh,
And that is the best radio show.
wow, great.
Because when you allow yourself to be a bad parent, to be stupid, to be an idiot, just to allow yourself that you can be that, automatically it gives you the spectrum, and you probably won't be. So in other words, we try so hard to be good, to be good, to be good, to be good, and we try to shut out the bad. That is what is also making it happen. So, I mean, guilt and judgment, there's no good reason to judge you as a parent. Like, you really do what you can. And at the same time, if you feel like you were a bad parent or something like that, be an allowance of that. And just, again, it's about going, wow, that didn't work so good, did it? Wow. What else is possible here? How can I be different here? And allow yourself that, sometimes you're not a great parent, and so am I. And it doesn't define you as a bad parent, because that's what we do with it. We then say, oh my God, I am a bad parent. And that's where we go wrong. You make yourself wrong. Sometimes we do things and they don't work so good for you or for the kid, right? you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, but making yourself wrong does not help your kid, does not help you. You know, saying that, okay, this doesn't work so good. Whew, you're not so bright today, you know, are ya? And have a bit of a chuckle, you know, and then that allows you to say, okay, wow, I think I could maybe do something different here. Like hating yourself just does not help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We are going to go away for just one moment. We'll be right back. Don't go away. We still have 20 minutes here with Benoit.
it sounds so exotic. I love it.
On
Trudel.
your one and only Radio Vaughan 103.0. Benoit, can you
Hi.
tell us a little bit about what you think of this great country of Armenia? Because you're a
Yeah.
guest here.
I am, but I'm not a far guest
Not-
because
not
I
that-
live in Tbilisi, Georgia.
Right.
And my job is with international development, so that's my day job. And so I work in both Georgia and Armenia, and basically it's working, you know, to support smallholder producers, farmers who are having a hard time competing now with everything with the Russian ruble devaluation and free trade. It's very difficult for farmers to be competitive.
Right.
So I work with that. I'm based in Tbilisi, and then I come to Armenia regularly, maybe every 2 months. And whenever I come here, I just love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
We need to get more people to know about you,
Yeah.
about your techniques.
Right.
Yeah, and so so I don't know if you want me to talk a bit about that now or later, or
Sure, we can talk about it now. Yeah.
So if people want to know more about this crazy stuff I'm talking about, and you want to see, you know, what is this guy talking about? You want to know more. There's different ways. One is you can go to the website of accessconsciousness.com. So you go on the website accessconsciousness.com. You can find quite a bit there. You can also go on YouTube. YouTube, you just type in Access Consciousness. You'll have a lot of different videos. Some of it you may understand, some of it not. But I mean, have a look. As far as me, I mean, I come here regularly. I'm happy to meet with anyone who has a group, yoga, therapists, you know. Last night I was meeting with a yoga center. I also met with Ayurvedic, shop, and just talking to people about this and doing a bit of a try of what a bar session, because you should try it 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and see how it feels for you. If you like it and you're curious, then, you know, you can do more. And then eventually, when people are ready or when they want it, then I can do 1 hour sessions to people, or I can teach also how to do the bar. So I'm a certified facilitator. Whenever that time comes and people are interested. But
What does that mean when you say you can teach someone to do it?
yeah.
What is the... maybe we could talk about the time commitment, or what would people need to agree to become a doer of access bars?
Yeah, do you know what? This one's really simple.
Yeah.
It's a 1 day class.
Wow,
It's a
amazing.
1 day class. And you might want to discount it and say, oh, wow, really 1 day? Is it good? But really, during the 1 day, you learn about some of the tools that I'm talking about. You learn a few more. You learn also how to do the 32 points. And so you would give, you know, a bar session twice, and you would also receive it twice. Just that can change your life. And I was telling you earlier that my mom and my sister, I gave a bars class in Canada this summer, and they both took the class. And I was so grateful that they chose it, because really at the last minute they didn't want. They're busy, and they also had to pay. I didn't give it to them for free. They had to pay. Not because I want to force them, but if you pay, then you also, because you see value in it, right? And my sister changed completely. A lot of stuff came up for her, and she's had a lot of pain all her life. And then after this class, 90% of the pain, she said, was gone. My mom has always been very good at being overwhelmed and saying, no, I can't do this. No, I can't do that. No, at everything. I've had that from my mom my whole life. Even this summer, she was like that. And she took the class, and I asked her, can you take care of the kids? Do you know what she said? She said, well, you know, I'm probably not so good with the kids. I'm probably going to screw up, but yeah, I'll do it. That was the first time she ever...
progress.
Yeah, because she actually recognized her limitations, that maybe she's not comfortable with it. She doesn't know she can handle them. But then she's like, yeah, but I'll do it. Right? So that was like she was taking a step. And that from my mom, I have not heard that from her before. So
Amazing,
it changes people's lives, because it puts them in the driver's seat of their life, and it helps them to clean up the junk and say, okay, let's get to it. You know?
And how much is the payment if it's not a secret?
Yeah, it's not a secret, and it depends per country. So I do have to check with Access Consciousness because it's never been done in Armenia. So there's the ones who, will let me know what the price would be for here. And as far as a 1 hour session, I give as low of a price as I can. So normally the price, for example, in Canada would be $100. And here I would do it for $25 because I want people to try it out. So approximately 10,000 Armenian dram for 1 hour session.
It's teaching or it's just a session?
That one is just a
Okay.
session, the 1 hour session to get a bar session. But again, I'm willing to come and talk to anybody about this for free and give a taster because I want people to just experience it. And then they might choose to do it now or in 5 years or in 10 years, and that's okay. But at least now you know. I wish I had known 10 years ago. I really do. And then it's up to the person if it works for them or not.
Is there a must do a frequency for this practice? If as soon as you learned it, now you have to.
No, there's no have to about anything in life, right?
Well,
There
yeah.
really isn't.
Choices.
Yeah.
It's about choice. And the thing is that the more you do it, the more you can feel that it just
You need
changes
it.
dynamically. It just really clears up a lot of the stuff. So, it can be once a week, it can be less. It really depends on you. Yeah.
And one last thing before we go for our last break. What if someone wants to get in contact with you specifically?
Yeah, I would love that. Just look me up on Facebook. It's
Okay.
Benoit Trudel, and you have the link with the show.
Yeah.
Send me a message. Say hello. I'm always so happy just to say hello. I have no expectation, and if we meet, and that's it.
We have tagged
Yeah.
you on our pages, both on Radio Van page and then Homesick at Home page.
Yeah,
so
yay.
whoever is interested, go ahead and find that out. And then you can always call our studio if you're really interested.
Great.
Because those who search, they will find, right?
Cool. Yeah. Great.
And as always, you can listen to us worldwide if you go to our Facebook page, Homesick at Home, or to our website, radiovan.fm. We will be back in just a few seconds to have our final Deep Thrills by Sia at the request of Benoit. And
My
then
boys.
we...
They
what's that?
like that one. My boys, they like that song too.
Oh,
We
they do?
danced to
Yeah,
it in the living
special
room.
special present from Armenia to Georgia.
Thanks,
and
guys.
hello.
Hello,
Hey.
Georgia.
What is their names, by the way?
So it's Remy and Simon, or Simon.
Simon,
Cool.
yeah,
Remy
Remy
and
and Simon.
Wow,
So
Hi.
lucky to have adopted them in Vietnam. Yeah, really
How-
lucky.
How long ago did that happen? When did you...
So the last Simon was actually, he's now 9, and it was 5 years ago. He was 4.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And then Remy, he's now 13, and he was 2.5. So it was 10 years ago. Yeah, so I've been a single
Whoa,
dad for a while.
wow.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
And it's been good. At first,
And-
when I had Remy, it was more difficult, just me and him, because he was, really quite intense. And then when I wanted to adopt, at first I wanted a girl. And then the authorities, they refused. And then with Simon, when Simon came into my life, then it created a nice dynamic where it's not just about me. Then they play together, and it's been pretty good. And they're so different that it's really interesting, and they get
Wow,
along pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah.
And how was it for Remy to... sometimes in a family, when the second child comes along,
Exactly.
there's a little bit of a rebellion that goes
yeah,
on.
yeah, that's what
Is
a
there
lot of
something-
people were saying to me. Oh, he's not gonna. Yeah, he loved it. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, right from the start.
Not
Wow,
alone
that's
anymore.
cool.
Well, Stephen, I'm an
Well-
only child, and I always dreamt of having a sibling. So
Yeah,
I always felt that I'm so unhappy because I'm alone. All my cousins had siblings that I didn't.
They
so,
were all playing catch.
so I understand.
yeah, at home. Yeah, so that you have somebody else
Yeah.
to play with, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
cool.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
You get to travel a lot around,
Yeah.
and you meet many people,
Yeah.
and maybe you, of course, I think, get attached to some of them. You make friends, and is it hard for you to then leave them and say goodbye? Or
Well, we feel so connected now with everything from internet. It's pretty awesome. It's not like it was 20 years ago where we would send a letter and it would take a month to get there. And that's
yeah.
when I started traveling in 1992. I am, yeah, in that age, right? So it would take a month to get the letters. Now everything is so instant. We can Skype, we can see each other. I don't know. It just feels so awesome to know people all over the world and to really stay connected, like in Vietnam and Myanmar, in different countries. And I know for sure I will stay connected with Georgia and Armenia. I mean, even with
Do
you
you
guys.
miss people, though?
I do. I do.
And does that hurt you, or you just let go? How does that work with missing someone? Speaking of your, technique and
Yeah. I mean, I guess missing someone for me is still like, it's still with that person. What do I want to do, with that person? So it could be that right now I'm exploring also going back to teach a class in Vietnam. So yeah, there's some people I miss there. So maybe it's time to go back, and do something in Vietnam and teach a class. And there's very little access in Vietnam. So I was talking to a friend and she's interested. So it's how much fun can I have with those people? And,
Okay, so as soon as you miss somebody, you say, okay, I go back there.
It's almost like one of the answers that you're not looking for to what else is possible.
Yeah.
What else is possible? Then you miss someone, you think, oh,
yeah.
maybe it's possible to go back.
So that's
Be
one of
with
the
them.
options, but it could be something else,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so some of them is just to stay in contact and to do things together.
Because our show is
Homesick at
Home.
home.
Homesick at home, yeah.
And where do you feel
the
most
other
at
day,
home?
yeah, we
Do you
need to
have a
ask
place?
that with
For
question.
me, there's something very strange. Sometimes I get to a country and I feel at home. And there's a few countries like that. And for me, Armenia is one of those countries. I just came here.
Cool.
And there's something that makes it that I relax when I come here, right?
Yeah.
Nepal is another one. I just arrived in Nepal and there was something that just felt really soothing and fun and relaxed about Nepal. So there's some countries like that. And if I were to stay for a long time, that's where I would want to be because I feel at home in some of those countries,
So you don't feel homesick about Canada? Or do you?
I mean, I love Canada, and it's actually being overseas. I appreciate Canada even more, and I need to go back once a year. So I go home once a year. That's non-negotiable to see my friends and my family. And then after that, but then my life, especially now, feels so rich. I mean, I'm here in this studio in Armenia. Like, I mean, that's awesome. Like, why would I miss? I mean, I just have everything, So feel really fortunate about being able to have that. Yeah.
You mentioned to me that possibly the next place after your contract is up here or in Georgia within this year, correct?
Yeah, my contract finishes within 1 year. Yeah.
That you're thinking of Nepal now.
Yeah. I would like to go back to Nepal. So again, it's this thing that right now I feel like, like Nepal is the one that kind of lights me up when I think about it. And whenever something lights you up, you just kind of listen a little bit. You don't go to the conclusion like, I'm going to Nepal. But yeah, there's something there. Or something better. What if there's something even better than Nepal?
Oh, yeah, what could even be
You
better
know?
than Nepal?
I don't know yet, but I'm definitely willing to find out. Because Nepal is awesome. I did a trek all the way to Mount Everest. I mean, it was just really, really incredible. So,
Wow, amazing.
What's your horoscope sign?
Aries.
Aries.
I'm a fire sign,
Yeah, you're my fire king. I'm a Leo.
Thank you. I'm
You're a
having
Leo.
Is today my birthday? Because I just had this.
Oh, I don't know if anyone's watching on RadioVon.fm, but
I'm
Ina's-
having a massage.
Having a
Then before I had like a bar session, so it's great.
Cool.
Don't go away. We actually still have about 20 minutes here in the studio with you, Benoit.
Nice.
Because Shushanik has given us the gift of Friday night. An extra 20 minutes on the air. Don't go
Yay.
away. We're still here with Ian MK
And Steven Oxner.
and Benoit. That's so fun. It's so fun when the conversation is like overlapping into when we're going on the air, and I'm like, okay, well, I really want to keep listening, but we're about to go on the air right now, Benoit.
And the background music. Dun-dun. It totally like changes the tune to a little bit.
You were just telling me that there are only 2 pickles in the whole world.
And you want to bring that up, okay? No, it's just I lived in Vietnam and Ho Chi Minh. You know, there's a big link between Vietnam and Russia, right? From
Sure.
the communist heritage, and a lot of people, you will find older people in Vietnam, they actually speak Russian, yeah, and even older, they speak French from when it was Indochina, but those are really
Sure.
old. And Ho Chi Minh was, for people who know, he was the one who basically, depends how you look at it, but some people look at it like he reunified the North and the South Vietnam into one country, right? And then when he died, he was basically sent to Russia, his body, and he was embalmed, or so you can see his body just like Lenin, right? You can, and there's a big queue at the mausoleum in Hanoi, and people just line up for a long time, and you cannot stop in front, right? The queue keeps moving, and you have like
that's exactly what
5
it's
seconds to look at Ho Chi Minh.
Like.
And
Wow,
take have a selfie.
Oh, I don't
no
keep it out. No, 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 no.
I
no,
wasn't even
I'm
allowed to
joking.
have my hands in my pockets.
Ooh.
Yeah, I couldn't even keep my hands in my pockets.
Pretty
as I walked
strict,
by.
yeah.
Yeah, it was very strict.
And
I was talking about Lenin.
Yeah, and they have
I
a
went
lot
and
of
saw it
respect,
a couple
right?
weeks ago. Yeah, well, I'm not sure.
You know,
if
in,
that's-
in Ho Chi Minh, in Vietnam, they do. So you
Oh,
have,
yeah.
you know, the picture of Ho Chi Minh everywhere,
Sure.
right? In the whole country. Yeah.
Whoa. Very interesting. This week we got to this by first talking about traveling and this this life of living abroad.
Yeah.
Because you had asked us why we called this Homesick at Home.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could tell us about what you had said about the library and how you
Yeah.
first began this what is now 15 years of living
Yeah.
outside of Canada.
Yeah, and even more than that. I mean, 15 years in international development, and then before that I was in Canada, and then before that I was an English teacher in Japan
Okay.
for some time. And I guess it just happened from a very young age that there was just this sense that of the world and wanting to just discover the world. And I would go to the library, and I was about 8 or 10, and I would open a world atlas. And of course I had never taken geography at that age. That comes much later in high school. And I would look at the atlas, and I would put my hands and run my hands on the mountains and everything, and look at page at a time really slowly. And there was something about the energy of those pages that was just like wanting to discover, wanting to be in touch with those parts of the world. And then it happened when, really young, that I think it was the age of, I don't remember anymore. Was it 17? I moved from Montreal, the east coast of Canada, and I drove all the way to Vancouver on the west coast, and I started a brand new life. And I was pretty young. And then at one point, somebody came back from Thailand and was telling me about Thailand, and I looked at her and I said, I'm going there. I'm going to Thailand. I don't know how. I was broke. I had no money. I started to paint houses, outside, inside, anything I could paint. And I told a friend of mine, I said, you want to be a painter with me? She said, I don't know how to paint. I said, we're going to be called he-she painters. And we were.
He-she painters.
He-she painters. And we started to paint. And within 2 months, I had enough money
That
and I was
sounds
gone.
Japanese. He, she.
And
Yeah.
he, yeah,
He-she.
yeah, and
He-she.
she, because she was we didn't do a great job of painting, to be honest, and we got kicked out of the house a couple of times, but because we painted over some of the things we were not supposed to. But
People.
yeah, like the light switches,
No.
and the members of the family.
Not quite, but
Hey, you got my hand. Get out of here.
and then that's how I ended up in Thailand. And then in Thailand, I was so miserable, and everybody was traveling and so excited. And I just felt so completely miserable. And at one point, this girl was talking to someone about doing a Vipassana meditation. And this girl didn't give a shit. She was just, I just want to go shopping. But I was sitting next, and I heard about it, her talking to this person who didn't care about this meditation. And then I went to her and I said, what is this? And then she told me, and then I went and I said, okay, I'm doing this meditation, 26 days of silence. And I'm glad I did it, you know, because I mean, these were some of the things that were kind of leading me a little bit forward. Yeah, that was really something. People said,
Maybe
you're
it
not
was-
going to be quiet for 26 days. Impossible. I cheated
And
a
were
little
you?
bit as
Oh,
well.
what-
Yeah.
how did you cheat? That's always the best part.
Because there are other people doing meditation, so sometimes trying to talk a little bit.
Hey, how are you doing?
They're trying to look at the floor, pretending like you're not talking.
Wow, yeah. What kind of things would you say?
Oh, not much.
The
Just
soup
really
today
trying to
was
find
really
out
good,
how is
wasn't
it
it?
for you, you know,
yeah.
because for me it was really tough. I was like crying, and it was really like, because when you stop, and that's what you do when you do Vipassana, you stop completely and you listen to your breathing, like you go crazy and your emotions just come up, because we block them with eating and drinking and being so busy. And when you stop being busy, it's pretty scary. Yeah, you have to be ready.
Alone
You know?
with yourself. yeah.
Alone with yourself, nobody to talk to, right? So, yeah.
Do you think the road that you have walked, let's say it this way, all these steps that you've taken, like the anxiety you told us about, meditation, etc., etc., all these experiences kind of were leading you to who you are now?
Yeah.
So if we take out some ingredients out of this,
I wouldn't be who I
soup,
am today, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, and I would even go further, that subconsciously somehow I chose all of these things, and all of these situations, because now it's kind of crazy. 30 years of anxiety, deep anxiety, but now I have like this understanding, this compassion, this sensitivity, that now that I can use it, it's like really, really awesome. And this making myself wrong for so long, now through Access, when I get to this place of just no judgment and just really looking at people with, hi, how are you doing? And just really this space. This is something that I think I have from having made myself wrong for so long, that it might be different, you know?
because you mentioned that you wish that you had known earlier all this but on the other
That's
hand,
it, you know?
Yeah,
On the
fair
other
enough.
hand, it didn't happen, right?
maybe
And
if you knew it earlier, you wouldn't need it, or you wouldn't understand that you need it,
I don't
or
know.
somehow.
It
Yeah.
almost sounds like this hypersensitivity is something that you used to think was what was wrong with you, and now it's
No.
one of the
Strengths. I
Strengths.
know, but do you know what? I think you're psychic a little bit, because the big thing in Access is that quite often your wrongness is your strongness.
that's an
Really,
awesome
the
phrase.
thing that we judge the most about
I
ourselves
like that.
is really the where there's that potential that really could bloody explode your life. You
Oh,
know?
right.
Yeah. And
Almost
I've
like
seen it
it's just-
happen many times with different people as well. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. Could you
Your
tell us?
wrongness is
about
your
an example?
strongness. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, so this one guy, I mean, his name is Liam. I mean, he was what you call ADHD, and really autism, and very, very hypersensitive, and really made wrong for it. And in this society, we make those people wrong because they're always hyperactive, they cannot concentrate, we give them medicine, right? And so he got that a lot about his wrongness, and then he started with Access, and started to just open up to it. And what he found out, he can read books, he can memorize, he's so bloody intelligent and fucking smart, and he has this sensitivity and this kindness that comes from being in that space, that now that he's gone to acknowledge that, like, he's now a brilliant facilitator, and he has a way of talking to people that is just so special, and if he had not gone to kind of looking at that, and he's so smart, like he just memorizes books, like thousands of books, like so smart. So I mean, and so he went that route of just like opening up, and there's just so many people like that I mean, I think anyone who feels wrong at some point, if you just kind of unravel that, there's a being underneath that with gifts and capacities that are different from other people, There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with anybody. There just isn't. There just isn't. It's a lie. It's something we tell ourselves. It's something that we do because we compare ourselves with other people. Sure, you're different, but it doesn't make you wrong. So if you're not good in math, if you're not, handsome and thin, and and all of this, just if you use that information to make yourself wrong, then you're just shutting down everything. So okay, so you're not good in math. Fuck. Hooray. So, okay, you're fat, but I've seen a lot of people who are fat, and when they own it, they just shine, and they're so beautiful. It's like, why did we decide that being fat is wrong? Like, fuck, really? Like, really? Like, it's not. And what is fat? I mean, it's just a definition that based on so many things, yeah. So,
Do you think, like we call it energy healing, right?
yeah.
So, do you think that this kind of healing can replace medications?
Oh, I would never say that. No, I would never tell you that. No. It doesn't replace anything. If you really feel that, you go to a psychologist, you go to the doctor. But what I will say, and that's an amazing question you bring up, is we always think that people know better than we do. The teacher knows better than we do. My mother knows better than I do. The doctor knows better than I do. They don't. They know. The doctor knows a lot. And please listen to what he has to say. And at the same time, ask yourself the question, okay, so if you're being diagnosed with this, okay, what else can I do about this? Or how can I change this? And then see what comes up in your life. Maybe you'll meet someone who will tell you about this or about that. And same thing with kids. Parents, they know a lot. But kids, they know too. They also know what they want and what's right for them. So yeah, kids should listen to parents. And parents should also give the opportunities for the kids and saying, okay, what works for you as well? Because what happens is when we don't do that, we always give our powers away and we think he knows better than me. And then we basically short ourselves down because he knows better. He told me it's like this. So yes, listen to what other people say always. And also ask yourself, what do I know? What works for me? Because it's 50-50. You're equal with other people. Never make somebody greater than you are. Never. Why would you do that? And don't make yourself greater than others. So I don't go to people thinking, I know more than you. No, I know this about access, but what do you know about your body and what works for you? I'm not going to pretend I know for you. No, definitely not. Yeah.
It's like learning the alphabet, and then you're the one who uses it actually for your own self.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna use it for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah,
right?
because you do need that information, the alphabet, don't you?
Yeah.
Right? And then you can create books and so many things with it, Yeah. For sure.
This has just been a pleasure.
Yeah. I think one of our
Cool.
best shows, I think.
Yay! Yay for us.
And very much extended. However, we do need to part at this moment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So to all of our listeners, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thanks
And
to everyone
Benoit,
for listening.
Thank you for being here and sharing this experience
Awesome.
Yeah, this was great.
of your
Thanks,
life
guys.
and this discovery that has happened in the past. It's just been the past year.
Yeah,
you're
it's
saying,
awesome. That's why it shows, like really from where I was a year ago to where I am now and where I'm going to be in 1 year, because I keep feeling like every day my life is changing in a way it never has before, which is so exciting,
Yeah, unbelievable. So
We kind of have
in
a
a little
this
while we'll have you
piece.
back. And we'll
Yay!
see what new Benoit walks in the door.
We kind of
be
have
back.
this peaceful atmosphere in our
Yeah.
studio tonight, right? Do you feel that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, thanks for coming to our show
Thanks, Ina.
tonight. Hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
We surely did. For those who maybe missed our show and who got tuned a little bit earlier, we're going to share it on our Radio Van page, also our Homesick at Home page, and also Benoit's personal page.
Yeah, I'll
so,
definitely promote
yeah.
myself.
Yeah,
You guys.
sure.
Great.
And
Thanks
it's
a lot.
Friday night. We hope you have a cool
A
place.
cool,
Yeah.
awesome Friday night wherever you are.
And a
at
weekend
home.
full of bloody possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
care, and don't forget, we'll be back here next Friday with someone new, and with Ina, of course, on Homesick at